All right. Hey, thank you for choosing to spend the time with me and use your energy to listen to what I have to share. I spend a lot of time on my own, and it's nice to be able to have an outlet for my thoughts. So, thanks for making the effort. One of the things I was thinking about recently was, do you remember that class in school called language arts? And I just remember it being just extremely boring. I didn't like school much anyway, so most of my classes were boring except for art class. I loved art class, but in the language arts class, it was mainly reading and writing, and the comprehension and development of that, but it was mainly excuse me, it was mainly an outward expression of communication for other people. Yeah, you learned certain things about the English language, but looking back, I never felt like there was a lot of comprehension for our own selves, right? So, like, what about the inward communication? What about the comprehension of ourselves, right? And this is something that isn't generally taught in the general education, obviously, unless maybe you got like a major or something that requires a certain kind of class, certain kind of studies. But it just got me thinking, and got me just wanting to share how I have communicated with myself to understand who I am, and using a couple things, a couple tricks, not even tricks, just a couple ways that I've been able to communicate with myself, and so other people can understand it, right? Because let's say, going back to language arts class, let's say the teacher asks you to write a summary on a book, right? Well, if you don't understand the book and you struggle with understanding it, you can't necessarily expect to write a clear, concise summary for the teacher, So we are the book. We need to understand what's in our pages. And one of the ways that I have done this recently over the past couple years, in addition to having a coach or two, having some difficult conversations and certain discoveries on my own, one of the things that you can use, and you can do your own research on this, but it's called the Wheel of Emotion, or the Emotion Wheel. And there's a few different versions out there nowadays, but essentially it's a nice colorful wheel. It's divided into sections, but essentially in the center you have like some of your core emotions, fear, anger, sadness, happiness, things like that. And then they branch out from the middle, from least severe to most severe, or maybe it's the other way around. I can't remember, but it just gives you a better idea of the kinds of words that exist in order to be able to help us get a handle on how we're actually feeling, instead of just saying like, oh, I'm pissed, like, or I'm upset, I'm just mad, like, there are way more words to describe what's actually going on. And so we just get stuck in a pattern of using these very bland, most of the time low to medium intensity words to describe how we're feeling, and not just about our negative emotions, but our positive emotions too. How many times have you heard somebody answer the question, hey, how are you doing today, with, oh, I'm good, I'm fine, I'm okay? And it's just not very exciting. I want to be excited. I want to feel good about what I'm doing every day and where I'm putting my energy and who I'm spending my time with. I want to be excited. I want to be ecstatic. I want to be marvelous, right? Like, we got to find some better words to describe how we're doing and how we're feeling, because then other people can understand us. If we have a broader range, it's going to help other people understand their broader range too. And they're like, oh, okay, that's pretty awesome, right? At first they won't expect it. They'll be like, wow, that's a great answer, So, especially if you're going to see a counselor or a psychologist or something like that, right? Or you're just getting a coach or something, and you have these a greater vocabulary. Going back to language arts class, if you have a greater vocabulary, you can express yourself better, and then that lets the other people be able to help you better. So the emotion wheel is good. One of the other ways that I think you probably use and you don't even notice it, and maybe you do, and if you do, awesome. But have you ever heard the saying, the two most powerful words in the English language are I am? What you say after that shapes who you are and who you become. And if you haven't heard that, now you have. It's not mine. Again, nothing's new under the sun, but it's true. How many times have you said throughout the day, you're like, I'm just tired, or well, again, going back to, I'm good, I'm okay, whatever. It doesn't even have to be a feeling. It could be a physical thing about you, right? Pay attention to the words you're using for how you're feeling physically as well. Again, well, I'm tired is one. I'm sick. I'm burnt out. I'm, energetic, right? So we can use better words to describe these things, right? And the higher intensity words you use, the more it's going to affect you mentally and physically, right? Like, it sounds crazy, but one of the things I tell myself is I don't participate in illness. And the other thing I say, as of the past year or so, is I tell people I'm getting younger, right? Because I don't want to get older necessarily, right? Of course, chronologically, the amount of years I've been on this planet, yes, has accumulated, but I don't look at it as being old. I just look at it as opportunity for wisdom, and I do what I can to keep my body healthy and keep my body working properly. So I tell people I'm young. I had a conversation with a friend of mine, Devin, and he got me started on that, because he said in one of our calls, he said, it just makes me feel better. It's more exciting to say I'm getting younger because everybody else is saying I'm getting older, right? So anyway, the things that we're saying after I am, and even the contraction I''am, I'm, it's the same thing. So pay attention to what words you're using after you use those the I am or the contraction I'm. And also pay attention to the words that, when you're talking to somebody else, what words are they using? Whether they're describing themselves or whether they're describing you. Are they saying things like, well, that's dumb, or that's interesting, or something like that, right? Like, if they say, well, that's dumb, they're pretty much saying that you're dumb, and you're free from that. I'm free from that. We're not dumb. So you just kind of you're going to want to pay attention to that as well. And it's not just words that you use or other people use and things that you hear, right? It's also things that you read. It's also words that you listen to. What are you feeding your eyes and your ears, your other senses, that could potentially be affecting how you feel and how you relate to who you are and who you want to be. And I don't think that that's widely talked about enough. There was an analogy that I got from Brian Stuman on his podcast, and he said, just because you're looking at one tree in the forest doesn't mean that you don't see everything else around it. Your peripheral vision is still picking up all the other trees. It's picking up the birds in the sky, the animals on the ground, and it's still affecting you. It's still, influencing you. And it's the same thing with the words that you're reading on a day-to-day basis and the words that you're hearing in music and things on a day-to-day basis. So his metaphor kind of helped me realize that I needed to audit what I was putting into my system, through my senses. And recently on Spotify, I had a, they suggested a mix or something that I might have liked, of some songs I might have liked, and one of the titles was something like "I Don't Like Myself" or something like that, and I was like, nope, I don't want to read that ever again. Even if I like the beat, even if I like the guitar riff or something, I don't care. I'm more worried about how my brain has to make that decision every single time it reads those words, whether or not it's good or bad for me. And I don't even want to give it that opportunity. So I blocked the song, man. I know that sounds crazy, but I blocked the song so I don't have to see it again. So these are just some other ways that we communicate inwardly with ourselves, and all extremely important. And it might take you a bit. It might take you a bit to slow down enough and have enough awareness to catch the words that you're using throughout the day, catch the words that other people are using throughout the day. And, you don't get frustrated. You can begin again at any moment that you choose, to catch this behavior and these patterns. So that's kind of all I wanted to share. Again, I appreciate you spending the time. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to speak here and share the kinds of stuff that goes on in my brain on a day-to-day, moment-to-moment basis. So thank you so much for using your energy to help me create this moment. So you have a beautiful day.